Hi there. Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to today's or this week's edition of Thought Leader Thursday. We have two special guests here. They are coming from WACKER. They are the leading player of one of the, and also the world's most research intensive chemical companies out there. But I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves. Wayne and Scott.
Hello, my name is Wayne Howard. Thank you, Oprah, for the kind introduction. I'm looking forward to our chat today. My role, I'm a Senior Director of Sales, basically looking after all the Americas for the bioingredients division of WACKER.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Scott Zarowski. I'm the National Sales Manager in the Biosolutions Group focused on the food industry. My background's in food science, so I've been working in this field for probably, I guess, about 20 years now. So excited to be here with you, Oprah, as well.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to sit in on this session. So if you don't mind kind of telling us a little bit more about what is it exactly that you do with WACKER. I know, Scott, you mentioned how long you've been like in the industry working as a food scientist, but can you share a little bit of your background as well as what your company does on a whole?
Yeah, sure. So WACKER's, it's a very large organization, and we're involved in a lot of different industries. Food, obviously, being the part we're here to talk about today, and our biotechnology, biosolutions division. But our reach expands into construction, automotive, a lot of different chemical industries. We're very active in even things as much as making products for solar panels for energy and things like that. So it's a pretty broad base of what the company does, but we're pretty excited to be in this expanding field with our new investments in biotechnology and to bring that to the food industry. I'll let Wayne add anything else he'd like to add to that.
Yeah, no, it's funny, when I joined WACKER 5 years ago, my background is food science like Scott, but and I used to work in the R&D side, so coming over to the dark side, the technical sales, which I love, it was fun. But joining WACKER, it was like I didn't ever associate WACKER with anything to do with food or bakeries or as such. I always thought of them as the silicon and the polymers divisions, like for laptops, for phones. And it was exciting to know that I had a different division, which is called Biosolutions, which our part of that is called bioingredients. And it's pretty cool when I think about it, because we're basically, it's very trendy at the moment. We're talking about sustainable products that are based on fermentation, which is very aligned with the trends for the future. So. I think we're in the right space at the moment.
Now, I like that you mentioned that, like, trends of the future, because the slogan that I see on the WACKER site is, creating tomorrow's solution. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? And like, what do you guys consider as thought leaders?
Sure. It's a very good brand that we have, creating tomorrow's solutions. What we try to do is that I think for all of our divisions, we try to really look at the customer's needs and also the trends in the market that are coming through. And we listen to the trends and listen to the customers, see what their challenges are, and really try to work closely with them to offer solutions for the future, using our technology and also our people, our technical team. So I think that we do align very well that way. I think thought leadership, what we do there, what we're well known for is, as I said, we're connecting this technical innovation to market needs and trends. We try to do that, but it's a double-edged sword, because really, the technology that we have, we can connect it to the trends and go out and promote that. But we also have to look at the trends and they're out there in the market and try to connect it to our expertise and technology. Scott might have a couple of extra comments there.
Yeah, I mean, I think just finding, I mean, part of the Sustainability Act, and I'll take one example. One of our amino acid programs is, products that we make through a fermentation style using plant-based materials is just that's something I would kind of lump into that. Whereas we're looking at a product that's been traditionally made from, chicken feathers and other nasty ingredients, and through a very harsh chemical process, we're able to do it very, very cleanly and do it not only sustainable but also very environmental. Environmental, very mentally freely. Sorry,
For sure. Understood.
stumbling a little bit, but yeah. So I mean, that's just some of the things we can do. I mean, not having understood this and having these capabilities are so many other things that we can do in that same technology, and possibly bring improvements to products that have been existing and being used for some time now. So I think that's something that we have a very good stronghold on.
And sorry, just to add to that, really, you talk about plant renewable, plant-based raw materials, and Scott mentioned about our L-cysteines and the amino acids, and in the bakery area, they're basically they're used for dough softening. So, and we see consumers out there and really trying to back away from these synthetic or harsh chemical processes and angling more towards a more natural alternative for dough softening, for example. So this is where our L-cysteines work very well because it's derived from plants and it's a fermentation process. Mm-hmm. The other project, the other exciting side of it from a technical innovation point of view and our product portfolio is a product called cyclodextrins. And so we actually manufacture cyclodextrins in Eddyville, Iowa, and we're backward integrated into a starch processing plant there. And we take a starch chain and we use patented enzymes to cleave the starches into 3 donut rings, what we call glucose rings that are 6, 7, and 8. Each one of those rings has a different functionality, has a hydrophobic exterior, hydrophilic interior. And the reason why I say that, Oprah, it's pretty cool because each one of those rings, if we're talking about bakery, you can apply the 6 glucose ring, the alpha cyclodextrin, into like egg-free vegan bakery products. We replace eggs, the functionality of the eggs of the egg yolk, which is more from an emulsification point of view, and then the egg white can be replaced, and the cyclodextrin will also have a whipping benefit there. So it's a pretty good technology to offer. And then even outside bakery, we find multiple current and new applications for the cyclodextrins. Like flavor masking is one. We use it in vegan dairy products. Barista products. So we're finding new applications almost every year. So those new applications, we're trying to align them with the current customer needs and the trends. So
I love how passionate you get when you're talking like the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest, some of it went over my head, but it was just really exciting watching you like talk about all the little details that are involved with this technology that you talk about. And I kind of like what you said, where it's kind of a double-edged sword, where you're creating things to meet the trend, but you also there's the trends there already, and so then you kind of have to reverse engineer, it sounds like, to then come up with these solutions. Would that be correct?
No, I like the way you say that. I think you could almost look at it that way. I mean, there are issues out there, are problems in the bakery field, for example, and some of those solutions that you have to put forward need some sort of angle. And you talk reverse engineering, that is a way that you could go. I mean, my thought is, we go out there, we do a lot of market analyses. We do gap analyses on the market. We listen to the customers, what their needs and issues are, and they're looking for solutions. Sometimes they give us a project brief and say, WACKER, go away, come back and come up with some options there. and we try to align that with our own technology and people. And we just literally did that last week with the biggest confectionery company in the world, and they gave us a brief, and we come through, and we really come up with some excellent concepts, and so we presented it to them, and then they basically said, "Wow!" and we want you to come back, and we got through the front door with them, and now we're talking to the right key decision makers, and there's great opportunity, and we do that with the bakery industry, you know, the big five bakeries, you know, and also the meeting side. We really do work hard to come up with the right solutions and align them with the trends that are coming through.
Yeah, and I'll say that, and just to add on to that, I mean, we do that a lot internally. We spend time every couple months with the entire group. So we're part of the sales team, as I mentioned when we started, but most of the salespeople at WACKER are scientists. Many of them are PhD level scientists. So there's a lot of, that's basically the whole business is structured around that background. So we spend always time together every couple months, just thinking of where else we can apply these technologies, and it's a wide range. So Wayne mentioned cyclodextrins, and obviously we're talking about food and bakery and all the great things you can do there, but we're using it in insecticides and other applications. So it covers a lot of ground, and there's a lot of very I guess engaged and bright scientists within the organization to help kind of find these new solutions. It's a lot of fun.
And you probably Oprah, I think you already using the cyclodextrins already, and I'll give you an example. There's a Procter and Gamble product out there called Febreze.
Okay. I have a couple bottles here in my house. Yeah, of course I use that.
That's the cyclodextrin technology. You know, it captures the odors and releases them.
It does what now?
It captures the odors, the not so good odors in the material, and then we'll release it when it's combined with water. So
that's fascinating. So it's this one piece of technology that can just be used in multiple different ways and different facets. That's so incredible. I see why you guys have the claim. It's on your LinkedIn that you guys are the most research intensive chemical company out there, and I see why now. Like, I feel super honored to be talking to such intelligent people.
Well, we're not even the brightest guys at the company.
Speak for yourself, Scott.
I can imagine it. So now you talked about the pilot line you have for the egg replacer and using it in vegan products. I saw somewhere you guys also have it could also be used in heat stable icing. Is that the same product we're talking about? Or is that a different piece of technology?
No, it's the same product, different technology, different idea, different concept. So we're, as Wayne mentioned, or as I guess we've kind of both mentioned a little bit, that we're using this same structure, the cyclodextrin ring that Wayne kind of described, and we found that can have applications across obviously broad number of industries and also a broad number of food applications. So in using that, we have been able to create heat stable icings for bakery applications, even heat stable buttercream products. So using that, incorporating that as part of the emulsification system can handle extreme heat, whereas most icings will fail and melt and basically pull out. Ours will, if you're using cyclodextrins, it'll retain its shape and look just as if it was piped. The other benefits, it can be piped right onto a hot cake, or it can actually, it's so dynamic in terms of its viscosity and texture that it can be brought right out of the freezer and used. So it's got a lot of different capabilities in that area.
Yeah, and it really is to add to Scott's comments. We find that it's a growing industry need in the bakery industry, like to have a stable icing. And I'll give an example. When we went to the last IBIE show in Vegas in 2019, we had our booth set up and we went to listen to the Cake Boss. And he's the Cake Boss from the TV show.
buddy.
He had a big audience, and he's up there, and he said, if anybody can create a heat-stable buttercream icing, I'll be your first customer. And so we're at the back of the crowd going up, come to us. So, that's one of the people that we've started to target. Because if we talk to these type of people, I mean, we call them social influencers. They've got a lot of followers, including not just the individuals or the mom and pop bakeries, but also some big companies. And I think that's basically a good avenue to promote our technology, particularly in icings.
For sure. And you talk about it being, the technology that you guys are using, it's plant-based, it's natural. So it even it's tying a lot of different trends all in one, because now the big talk is about clean label. So you guys could also be classified as that as well. But I am curious to know, do you find that there are companies or clients, your bakeries, that are kind of hesitant or apprehensive to use your products, or even work with you guys because they might think of you as just a chemical company? Do you find that to be the case? And if so, how do you?
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
Well, if I talk about just the chemical term, like WACKER Chemical Corporation, the chemical word can be a little bit scary at times, but as we mentioned at the beginning, our WACKER company is broken up into different divisions. Of course, polymers and silicons, we've been more chemical, maybe linked. The biosolutions group and the bioingredients, when you dive into and look at the products and the portfolio, very much plant-based, very much more natural, very much more cleaner label. If you look at our products, and we talked about the cysteines, the amino acid, and also the cyclodextrins, from a labeling point of view, the cysteines are not chemically derived. They're basically plant-based through fermentation, and they're very attractive to a customer. The cyclodextrins, you can tick off all the boxes, really allergen-free, kosher, halal. The labeling of it, Oprah, really for the one that we've been talking about, on the alpha cyclodextrin that goes more into the bakery and the icings, you can label that as alpha dextrin. So alpha dextrin, we did a market consumer study on that term, what the American consumers thought about that alpha dextrin, and they were positive about it, that it didn't influence them in a negative way if they looked at that on the label. So I would say it's more positive and cleaner label than any other competitor product that has a certain functionality as ours.
Yeah, and I think that maybe you look at that, you look at the overall corporation, I think there's just not a realization that we have this division. So I think that's once it's we share our mission and our vision and all the things we're passionate about in terms of what we're doing in the biotechnology side. I think it ends up being a positive. It's just that obviously we're part of this large organization with all this great different technology, and that spans across multiple industries. So just getting our group separated, and once we're able to do that, we haven't had a whole lot of problem or apprehension, I guess you could say, with companies wanting to work with us.
For sure. So it's basically they got to get down to deep past the surface to find the gold. And I was very pleasantly surprised to learn just the impact that you guys are making in the food industry, and kind of what you guys are pushing towards, I guess, the greater cause in the future. I am curious to know, obviously COVID is still something that's very real to us, and we're still facing the challenges of that. But how have you guys as a company, or even individuals, have you been innovating throughout COVID, or even, in spite of COVID?
Yeah, good question. It's been difficult adapting to the COVID. If I look at innovation, we've had to do it in different ways. Virtually. And also difficult to work in our labs because of, of course, the pandemic. So a lot of the innovation we've done has been more theoretic innovation and preparation innovation rather than getting hands-on and applying it into the lab. But now things have opened up and applying that theory and concepts more into actual and prototypes. Some of the things that we've had to really look at from a just even activities from a marketing point of view. I mentioned before about the social influencers, like to get out there. We don't have any trade shows at the moment because if people can't go to a IFT or IBIE or a Supply Side West, and you basically, that for Scott and I and our team, that's where we get we can show our technologies and our portfolio prototypes, and also get our leads. And it's very difficult. So we've had to be very smart and look at different avenues where we can and innovate to create different avenues where we can go out to get these leads and to also promote WACKER. So we've done things like align with social influencers. I mentioned before about the Cake Boss. We haven't aligned with them, but we've aligned with Bakerpedia, and Dr. Lynn, fabulous, and she's got a wonderful following, and she's given webinars, podcasts, and she's promoted our products, and we have got some good commercial wins out of that and built up a good rapport with some good customers. American Cake Decorating is another company that we're working with from a social influence point of view. We're doing virtual trade shows. Scott's in the middle of preparing for the virtual IFT, and we're doing this extra activity called speed dating with very key influencers, or I beg pardon, key decision makers. The other thing that we've done, even though we have a mark on budget to promote our cyclodextrins and our cysteines, etc., traditionally we've done print and digital advertising, but really with COVID-19, nobody really looks at the print now. So we're focused more on the digital side. So there are a couple of things I could say from innovation and also how we've adapted to the COVID-19. Maybe Scott's got something that you would like to add.
Yeah, I mean, just the adjustments that Dwayne's mentioned, trying to find different ways to interact and just different ways to interact with customers. I mean, me personally, I'm gonna be honest, I've been around for a while doing this type of thing. I would rather sit in person with people. It's a preference for me. I know maybe it's dating myself a little bit because I think younger generation prefer to be doing a WebEx call or a text, but I say it's an adjustment for somebody who's used to that and sitting down, but we found different ways to interact, and we've got all this great new resources in terms of video conferences where we can make full presentations almost as if we were there. The only thing we really lack is really being able to show product samples. I think that's the hardest thing to kind of overcome, and because always when it comes to food, if you can't taste it, then it's sometimes difficult to really make people believe that it does all these wonderful things that we say it does. So and like Wayne said, just in terms of, I think we mentioned earlier, which is with the innovation, just ideas fluttering around the company and kind of having this theoretical concepts of we can do this, and once we get back to the lab, now we've got a full slate of things we can get back to work on. So I think everybody's adapted well, and we've had a lot of our key scientists that have been able to be in the lab for a little while now, so they've been able to do some great work there too.
That's awesome. I love that you guys talk about theoretical innovation. I want to get back to that, but before I forget, you guys do have a few videos out there about your products. I think I saw somewhere you had like a video regarding the heat stable icing, correct? that somewhere out there?
Yep. Yep.
Is it on Baker Peter or is it on the American Decorating? I forgot where I found it.
There's definitely one. There's probably a YouTube one for sure. And then there's some other ones that are out there. So.
Okay, then, all right. So they couldn't find you out there then in the ether.
Yeah, some of those are great demonstrations. Basically, just to show time lapse video of heat and our icing staying stable as the other ones kind of collapse and melt down, and it's little things like that we tried to slip out there and use that to catch people's attention to kind of give them an idea of what the technology can actually do for them.
Got you. It would make a great commercial. So side by side comparison.
We've done it a lot, actually. Yeah.
Huh?
So we've used that a lot, actually.
Have you? Yeah, I think it's
other applications as well. So.
Yeah, and actually, what we've done, Oprah, even at the trade shows, we have this thing called a hot box.
Yeah.
And it's and maybe it's shown on the video, but basically, even at the trade shows, people will see these cupcakes with icing on it, and one's stable, the other cupcakes have melted on icing. Melted on top, but people walk by and it's like a hook, and it really attracts them. And even if they're not involved in the bakery, it's like, what's going on here? And they you start a conversation, and might not be linked to what you're actually doing, but it might generate another idea. So I think demonstrations like that, people can relate to it. And the other thing when you reach out to people, you've only got a limited time to really capture their interest. And that's why I mentioned before the speed dating. 15 minutes with a key decision maker, you've got to get your hook into them pretty quickly, and try to be as aligned as you can with what they need. And somebody walks by at a trade show, it's the same thing. You've got 5 minutes of glory to get them hooked. And it's the same with a video. You don't want a long video. You need a snapshot that gets their attention, and then we get the next meeting, or they can see the bigger video that's a little bit longer. I mean, you think I line it with some of the media technologies out today, like TikTok, and the younger generation, they see it for a couple of seconds, they get excited. And that's what you want. You want to get the hook in before you reel them in in a good way.
Now you talk about IFTs is the next. Sorry, you're going to say something, Scott? It looks like you're going to say something.
No, I was just going to say Wayne likes to fish. That's why he has these.
It's a good analogy.
I don't catch much.
You mentioned about IFT. It's a virtual trade show you guys are doing. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that, just for those who might not know? Because I'm one of those
people. So IFT is the largest trade show for the food industry in general, or for I guess you'd say from an ingredient side to basically manufacturers would be mostly attendees. So it's the Institute of Food Technologists. It's basically the organization of all the food scientists in the United States. And then, like I said, the show is generally in person annually. Very large show. Most of the companies, like I said, exhibiting would be an ingredient side, and those attending would be people that work for end manufacturers. So retailers, like General Mills or Kellogg's and Kraft, those type of companies would be the ones that would be interested there to find the next ingredients technologies for their particular product lines. So it's not really a consumer based show, but it is very important within the food industry in terms of how we all interact with each other.
Now, when is that taking place this year?
Well, this year it's going to be virtual again. So
the date. Sorry,
it'll be towards the end of July, if I recall correctly. I don't have a dates right. I think it's the 23rd.
End of July. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So it'll see some sort of again, it'll be a virtual event this year, and hopefully next year we'll be back to seeing everybody in person. So.
Well, I hope to see you guys at IBIE next year, because I'll be there. So I hope to see you guys there.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
We just went through our marketing budget, Oprah, and it's definitely on our plan, because look, out of all the events, that was one of the most exciting for us the first time to attend. But even from an interest point of view, and even from a business commercial return, that was excellent.
Yeah, it's an incredible event. So back to I'm surprised I didn't forget, but you guys mentioned because usually I forget these things. You guys talked about theoretical innovation, and I love that because even though you weren't able to physically create new things or be as innovative as you'd like to because of the pandemic, you guys were still keeping the brain and churning the wheelhouse of ideas. And that seems to be the success in a lot of companies when they're forward thinking and they can see, kind of have some foresight into the future. What would you say to bakeries that are still kind of like apprehensive about taking on certain food trends, or such as gluten-free or paleo or vegan, which I see you guys kind of with your technology cater to all of those things? Is there anything that you would say to bakeries who are like reluctant to catch on to these trends?
Yeah, I mean, I think every business has its own decision to make, and I think and a lot of times it's going to come to the scale of the bakery too, right? Because I mean, as the trends come on, they tend to start a little bit smaller, and some pick up some speed. So it might be difficult for some larger bakeries to kind of jump in and fill that niche role. But I would say for the smaller ones, it's absolutely worth exploring, and just to get your tech team together. See, there's a lot of people that work in the industry, even kind of in the consulting world, that have a lot of expertise in developing these type of products, and it may be a nice little way to expand your offerings. And then being at a smaller scale, I mean, it could be something that's really beneficial to the business overall, and then could grow. And some of these ones you've seen, people start off, it's like, we'll give it a shot, and next thing you know, they're going to, hey, we're going to try gluten-free. To guess what, we only do gluten-free now. That's what we do because we've gotten so good at it, and we're known for it, and it's really built our business. So it's definitely can shift, especially for some of the companies that have a lot more flexibility within their systems.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I look at it, you see so many trends come through, and you got to work out, whether it is just a fad, or it's going to keep going through. And, we talk about the little smaller companies that Scott just mentioned, and they're very tend to be more flexible and faster, and can maybe take a little bit more risk, possibly. Um, all I can say to them is, basically, look at the trends, try to see what's happening not just around your local region but globally, and look at different demographics, and try to make a rational, risk averse decision. But you have to take some risk. I think you cannot just be in the closet all the time. You've got to come out, and try to get it done. I look at the bigger companies, and sometimes they've got more money, more R&D spend, but they tend to, in my experience, sometimes look at the smaller size bakeries, for example, and see what innovations or solutions they're coming out, and they'll either absorb that company through acquisition, or they'll unless there's a patent involved, that technology could be borrowed. So that's a risk, but that's what I see. I think I think you need to take some sort of some risk, but base it on the intelligence and knowledge that you have of the facts at the time.
Gotcha. Taking risk. I like that. And so, I mean, you guys as a company you start off as one, as you mentioned, and you guys kind of venture off and do a lot of different things. And it's kind of the same thing that you talk about, Scott, in the bakery world, where you can be known for this, but then go off and do other things as well. Is there anything in particular that you guys want to be known for moving forward, or is it kind of just up and we'll see how the fates align?
I mean, as it relates to our group, and I think of what we're doing, and actually the investments and in general, is really just to be a leader kind of towards biotechnology. I mean, us being a small part of that, in the food related things, but we're using biotechnology across all kinds of platforms, and really one of the big basis reasons is for sustainability. So I think that's a key part of what we're focused on as a group in terms of our biotech division, and we're, like I said, making investments, and we've have our new site in California, new WACKER Biotech based in San Diego. So they're doing some really cool stuff. Like I said, we're ranging from food obviously being our part, but really innovative stuff and pharmaceuticals, all kinds of different ranges. We're even been involved in some of the COVID vaccination development. So as a group globally, it's really been a big part of what we're doing within the organization. So that's why I could speak for, at least in our division. But I think it's bringing that technology, but it's also driven by sustainability in the long run.
Yeah, and I would say from a vision point of view, we want to be the first choice of customers to go to, and that is our vision, and so we want to be able to offer them the right solutions and to partner with them. So if we get that right, and we basically build those relationships and put forward a good solutions or concepts to those customers to make them number one in their business or in their market, it's a win-win situation. So and to do that, Oprah, it's the old sales process. You have to really build some credibility. You have to have the connections. You have to build the trust. Once you build the trust, you build the trust by being as transparent as you can with your customers and really focusing on what they want and the need, or bringing something to the table that excites them. And once you do that once or twice with them, they relax and they think, WACKER is a great company to work with. That's my first choice that I'm going to go to. So that's where we want to be.
Nice. I love that you guys mentioned sustainability more than once. And I think that's, from a trust standpoint, I think a lot of customers can relate to that and, want to push towards that greater good. And that seems to be, I don't want to say it's a trend, but it's everyone's talking about it. And it's kind of where we should all be leading as globally towards that sustainability. But there are two things I want to go back to. So in regards to like sustainability and that being the kind of the talk around the town as well, we talk about other things like other trends in the industry, like gluten-free and vegan. You have the vegan product line, the technology there. Is it fair to still call it a trend, or do you just feel like this is kind of going to be, I don't say the new norm, but where everyone is kind of transitioning to because it all ties into sustainability?
I think they're still separate. I think vegan, I think we've passed, I don't know if I would refer to it as a trend anymore, as more than I would as a segment. It's an actual portion of the market now and a portion of people's dietary behavior. So it's just the kind of reality, and whether it's growing or, getting larger, getting smaller, I don't think is really much in question anymore. I think it's something that's always going to be there, and I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as a trend. It just may be new as some of these, or even gluten-free, as they look to find, bakery options in particular that they maybe were used to before they made that switch into their, change their diets a little bit. So, I think they're a little bit separate. There is some correlation between sustainability and vegan. I've definitely had conversations to try to understand this a bit more. And a lot of that, may not even be bakery related. A lot of it is just animal raising related. Just the way, cows are raising and the type of impacts that can have on the environment, especially in South America. So a lot of people have cited that as as a reason for it. So there is sustainability definitely attached to that, I guess, dietary movement. I guess that's the better way to put it.
That's a good way to classify it, yeah.
So there is some aspect to it. And I think for as much as I've interact with people, and I think everybody has their own different reasons, so it's always hard to kind of pin it all down to just one thing. So
Yeah, and my comment, particularly on vegan, I mean, we've seen. I think it's around to stay. I mean, vegan. We've had some. Since I've been with WACKER, we've had some interest, but it seems to becoming more the norm now. When somebody's asking for a solution or an idea or a concept, it has to be vegan. And we've had some success stories, not only on the bakery side, but developed like a ice cream, a gelato that's vegan. Different applications that are coming through, and it's pretty good that way. And it's a bit like organic. I mean, organic has been around for a while, and it's has a certain niche market, or is that market growing? Maybe it might have stabilized. But what I do see more apart from the vegan and the organic, it's the natural, and the natural is coming through. And unfortunately, in the USA, we don't have a clear definition from the FDA on natural. And what I see is it's a little bit disappointing, because there's a lot of companies out there that sometimes take the natural term too liberally, and you lose credibility there. And so when I see natural on a product, I'm a little bit skeptic. So the damage has been done to a certain point, but I do know that there's lists out there, Whole Foods list, and other lists out there that would maybe either black band lists or lists that they will that they allow for ingredients to be used. I think that a lot of bakeries out there, a lot of manufacturers, they look at those lists and try to conform with those, or be part of that list on the good side. So I think vegan. I think getting back to vegan, I think it's here to stay. It won't go away for a while.
Thank you. I to go back to a second point that you made, Scott, and you talked about leadership in the company. And so I was just curious to know, what are you guys' leadership styles? Because obviously you guys have leadership roles in your company. And are there any tips that you'd want to share for others out there?
I'll go first.
I'll let Wayne take this one.
Scott, you are a leader too, so jump in afterwards. But it's for a team to be effective, you need a good leader. I mean, you could look back at your career and you can pick out the people that influence you the most in a good way, but also in a difficult way. So we also talk about WACKER being a innovative, creative company, and so you need to create a culture that allows for that to happen. And so the leadership styles that I see, and I'm working hard to apply, is that you've got to encourage creativity. You have to take some risk, and I mentioned the risk before. And if you have sometimes fail, but as long as you learn by those failures and take it into the next time and not do it again. But also encouraging responsibility, accountability, giving people a role and letting them run that role and letting them be accountable. I think coaching styles are good. I mean, I am not an expert in a lot of areas, but I try to surround myself by experts, and I listen to them. And that's the other thing. I struggle at times to shut up. I've got to listen, and Scott's got excellent ideas. My other colleague Deborah Schultz is fantastic. When we get together as a three of us, we come up with crazy, wicked ideas, and I encourage that. And I mentioned before, be passionate, and you can tell I'm very passionate about our portfolio. And really, the last thing I really, really want to say is that as a team, we've got to, we have not sometimes no successes, or we have run into some issues, but we also have successes, and all those three you should share it, and particularly the successes you have to promote the team and promote the people around you, and make sure that a pat on the back when it's due should be there. So that's my idea of leadership styles and some of the tips I would recommend for anybody out there. Scott, you would want to comment?
Yeah, no, sure. That was great. I mean, for me personally, I've had kind of run companies since I was a young kid, just doing other small business, and I learned something even starting off. I think it was always, I found to be true going through, is that developed kind of creating credibility with the people you're working with and people maybe working with you. And so one of the big things for me has always been, that I would never ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I'm not going to, just divulge crappy work because I don't feel like doing it, and kind of, set that. So I think that always shows credibility and makes people more interested in working with you. And then, like Wayne said, just when you had a chance to involve somebody that's, maybe new or learning and into a new, lineup or area of work maybe they haven't been exposed to, and you get a different perspective, also give them some opportunity to learn and roll with some of those projects, I think is really important. It's also great for the team because it just builds the strength of your team along the way. So
building the team, wow, that's amazing. I love it. It sounds like the dynamic that you guys all have as a team is very encouraging. And you mentioned about internships before we started here. I would have loved to have been an intern because like, you speak in my language. It's almost, you take like the scientist approach, obviously because you're food scientists, where it's okay to experiment, it's okay to take risks, and embrace the failure. That's okay. It's going to happen as long as you're learning from it. So it seems to be.
I mean, we do have students coming in, and we also have what we call rotation analysts. So there are students that are almost in their last year, and we employ them, and we circulate them so they get a taste of each discipline. So they could be in sales, they could be in R&D in the lab, they could be marketing, they could be financial. They'll get a taste, and then you remember when you were at university, like for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so this gives you a taste of any of those disciplines. And what we found is that since I've been here, almost every rotation analyst has picked up a job with our company, and they've chosen the discipline that they really like. So I think it's a good model. It works.
Well, it's a discipline. It's also, as we started off with, it's all the different divisions within the company. So you're in automotive, industrial, food, pharmaceuticals, nutrition. I mean, there's so many different varied areas. So it's kind of they get to see what each division is doing. I mean, actually, most of the people I've met and worked with, they know more about the company than I do. They've had the chance to be involved. So as a whole, anyway.
Because they've rotated all these different.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. So, I guess I want to kind of leave it off with, what's to come with WACKER and you and your team. If there's any things you can release or disclose, it'd be interesting to learn, as well as, how can we find you guys? How do we contact or get in contact with you all? So.
Sure. I'll start off. I mean, without giving anything away confidential, I mean, we in bio ingredients, I mean, from an innovation point of view, we keep innovating. We match it to customer needs and trends. We have some new applications coming through. I mean, I mentioned barista is one that's relatively new. We expect there may be some new applications coming through. We're entering into new markets with our cysteines and cyclodextrins. For example, the pet food and pet supplement markets. So that's opening up, and we're rolling that out, which is very exciting. You know, there could be mergers and acquisitions. I mean, well, not mergers, acquisitions in the future, but that's that's like any other company does that, and we're looking to really grow, from an umbrella point of view, aggressively by 2030. So I think that's what I say. I mean, it's exciting. Just if I go back to the team, the Americas team. I mean, we're when I say Americas, not just USA, but Latin America. We're doing a lot of work on regulatory to allow our products to be approved in, say, Brazil. We've got nutraceutical ingredients where we use the cyclodextrins with active components like CoQ10 and curcumin or turmeric, and you put it with the cyclodextrin, you're able to get a much more bioavailable product. So that market is really, we're focusing on that too. Bakery is definitely a focus area for us. We're really working hard with putting forward some solutions for the bakery market with some of the big customers out there. We talked about vegan. We're looking at vegan alternatives for the future. It's a lot happening. I'm trying to hold my tongue because there's things that
I probably should have asked that question. I'm sorry. Like, don't leave it reveal too much. I don't want you to get in trouble.
No worries. I'm sort of very conscious of that, but it's an exciting future, Oprah. It really is. I'm extremely excited for the next couple of years. I think we're on the right pathway. As for who to contact, I will. That's why we have Scott here. I'm going to let Scott promote who should be contacted.
Well, yeah, of course you can find me. I'm not sure even the best way to let you know how to do that, but you can definitely get to us. You'll get to me eventually through our website, either way. So at WACKER.com. So, as Wayne mentioned, it's very exciting, and I think aside from even that, we have we talked about our expertise in science, and I think there's a lot. Yeah, fermentation technology is something that's ever expanding, and we're definitely leading in that. And there's going to be a lot of other ingredients I think we'll be able to make using that technology down the line as we find the needs, and can take other things where maybe they came from such a not such a good source, like the cysteine coming from animal feathers and hair and things like that, and then finding a sustainable way to make that product. I think there's some other ones out there that may be coming down the road. So like Wayne said, it's an exciting future, and I think we have all the right people and the right technologies to kind of keep going down that path.
That's awesome. And on a personal level, are there any goals, or what are your hopes and visions for the food industry on a whole, would you say?
Oh, I thought my own goal. I just want to get out of the house. So get on an airplane. That'll make me happy.
So it's really hard because poor Scott, he started with us at the start of the COVID-19. He hasn't been out of the office, his own home office, to meet hardly anybody. So
I've never even met Wayne. I worked for him the whole year, so we've never actually met.
Yeah,
this is it.
This all could be an assimilation. Who knows?
Yeah, but the good news is, we're looking at, like any other company, the travel restrictions should be coming out, and our business is doing it on a phase by phase basis, and it won't be too long before Scott and I will be saying hello, and also visiting customers. So we're looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, the customers are going to be lucky to have you guys back out there in the field. We got a few more minutes left. Any last words or tips and advice you'd like to give out to the baking industry, the food industry out there? Live long and prosper.
No, for me, just want to thank Bakerpedia and also you, Oprah. That was fantastic. I've enjoyed it. To all the bakeries out there, and please feel free to jump on our website and reach out to Scott or myself. We really encourage you if you've got any challenges that you need help on. Our doors open. We always work hard to make our customer happy and to come up with solutions. And hopefully we've demonstrated that to you. And look, the other thing, if you're at the IBIE or IFT, please come by our booth. We'd love to meet you face to face.
Sure, awesome sauce. Well, I look forward to meeting you guys and hopefully testing out your product. I am very excited about the technology you guys have for the vegan world, just because my nephew has a dairy and egg allergy. So by default, he has to have only vegan desserts or else he's left out of the party. So it's really exciting to know that there are companies out there who have the solution and in the most natural way possible. So I look forward to working more with you guys in the future. So yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for having us. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Awesome sauce. All right. I guess that's it, right? Check out Bakerpedia, guys. Check out WACKER company as well. And see you on the next TLT. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.